Good morning, dear friends and colleagues. So, you are warmly welcome to the session of mindfulness. So, I'm truly grateful to Venerable Dehiwala Sunanda Thero for kindly accepting our invitation and giving us this valuable opportunity to conduct this session. And so, without wasting our time, so now I would like to invite Sunanda Thero to conduct the session from here onwards. And after the session or during session, if you have any questions, so you can just ask from Thero, and we can follow the session as it is. So thank you very much, and I would like to now invite Thero to conduct the session.
Thank you very much, Sankar. And good morning to you all, and good evening to myself, because it's evening here back in Sri Lanka. Uh, so basically, Sankar told me about the background of your work. I think all of you are engaged in a green fertilizer project, some green technology, which actually created a serious issue in Sri Lanka a couple of years back, where we drastically tried to change the entire agriculture system into organic agriculture, and without having any basic studies relating to that. At the end of the day, it became a disaster. There was a huge food outage, shortage, but now it's back to normal. So I wish you all luck with whatever the endeavor that you're doing with science. It's beneficial to the entire community. But in the meantime, this Asian knowledge in relation to the human mind, which is basically the essence of Buddhism, will be a help for all of you to have a balanced lifestyle. I believe this session will, at the end of the session, you will try to at least to grasp what is the essence of Buddhism in relation to understanding your own mind. I will briefly tell you the importance of one to realize the mind, because now you know that to our body uh, we need food, and we need exercises, and we need medicine. In order to maintain the health, we need food, and also to keep the health, we need exercises. In case of sicknesses, in case of illnesses, we need to find medicine for the body. So similarly, your mind also need these three components: food for the mind, exercises for the mind, and also medicine for the mind. But unfortunately, majority of people do not give much concern in relation to that nourishing the mind. They are so much obsessed and so much into maintaining a good body, good physique, a healthy body, but they have forgotten the aspect of a healthy mind. But it was a very long practice in Asia, in Sri Lanka, in India, in the Asian culture, in ancient Asian culture, where they understood the importance of having a balanced mind along with a balanced body. So that is how this philosophy of Buddhism came up long time back, about 2600 years ago. Uh, so I will tell you what are we going to do here. Now, I'm sure that all of you are engaged in science, and most of you, and you know about this cutting edge technology. You are using devices, maybe a mobile phone, maybe some centrifuge machine, or some extractor, or a laptop, or whatever it is. We should not go that far. We will take one of your basic utensils that you use in your household. Let's say a microwave oven. If you have a microwave oven in your house, let's say you have bought a new microwave oven to your kitchen, and you're not using the, what do you call that, user manual. You don't read the user manual. You try to figure out by yourself what is happening there, right? And if you are beginning with something which you do not know how to work without reading the user manual, what will happen to that machine? That's my simple question. If you start to use a machinery which you do not have any prior knowledge regarding to it, and if you try to use it without reading the user manual, definitely you won't be able to take the best out of it. In the worst case scenario, you will destroy the machine, right? You can plug it somewhere which is not appropriate. You may use it in an inappropriate condition. You know that in a microwave, you have to use microwavable things. The pots and things should be compatible with the microwave system. But if you use something like metal inside a microwave oven, a metal plate or something, it will definitely cause injuries even, right? So for even a basic machinery, you need to read a user manual in order to take the best out of it and to not to destroy it in the course of usage. But unfortunately, the most sophisticated machine, the most sophisticated technology in the human civilization lies in the human mind, in our brain. There is no such sophisticated machine than our brain or than our mind, which we have discovered so far, right? So this is our mind, and the brain is the most sophisticated system that we use in our day-to-day life, and which it was a part and parcel of our biological birth. It was there since our birth, and we will use it until we die. But what has happened? Have you ever tried to read the user manual of it? I'm asking a question. Have you ever tried to read the user manual of it? So if you have no understanding about the mind, and also if you have not read the user manual of it, what will happen in the course of using it without the knowledge? Look at yourself, go in front of a mirror and look at yourself. That is what you have done to yourself by using your mind without reading the user manual. So all the depression, anxiety, any other mental illness, or the pressure, the stress, whatever the name that you call it, is caused in your mind because you have no knowledge on how to use it. Right? So there is a system. There is a system where we can read the user manual of the human mind, and thereafter we can use the human mind to take the maximum out of it. That is what the Buddhist philosophy means. So Buddhist philosophy is all about the user manual of the human mind. And Gautam Buddha prescribed a system of how to read the user manual, because this user manual is not something like which you can publish on a book, which you can print and or either spread across through your emails. No, it is not something like that. It is something unique to yourself, and you have to read your own user manual, right? So then we use a technique called mindfulness. I think you're aware of it. The technique of mindfulness to read the user manual. That is the key. Mindfulness is the key to read the user manual of the mind. Right? Then I think you're aware of a term called wisdom. Wisdom. Wisdom means when you are using mindfulness in order to read the user manual of your mind, you will gather experiential knowledge about your mind. The experiential knowledge that you gather from your mind is called the wisdom. Right? Once you are more and more mindful, You will get more and more experiential knowledge about your mind. That means you will increase your wisdom. Once the wisdom once the wisdom is increased, you will achieve the balance in your mind. That means you will not go for the extremes. You will not go for depression or anxiety. You will not cause any illness in the mind. You will be able to have a balanced life with a balanced mind. Okay, that is the simple thing that we are going to do here. There is no magic, right? I'm not going to teach you how to levitate. I'm not going to teach you how to do magic. Actually, this is magic. Actually, this is levitation, which you do not understand at the moment, right? This is a very simple principle where you try to gather experiential knowledge about your mind, right? So here we are going to find out how to practice mindfulness in order to gather that experiential knowledge. Do you understand up to that? Right. Okay. So then, what is mindfulness? Now, there is something called meditation. Is there anyone who has done meditation here before? Have you tried meditation? Yes, Jessica and Arun has done it. Okay, I believe Sankar has already done it for some. So, the term meditation includes two doctrines. There are two types of meditations. You listen to me carefully. One is mindfulness meditation, one is stillness meditation, right? So in the ancient Indian language, we call it the mindfulness as vipassana. Vipassana. That is vipassana meditation. You might have heard that term, vipassana centers, mindfulness meditation centers. Or the other one, the Indian terminology is samatha. Samatha meditation. That is stillness meditation, right? How do we differentiate these two types of meditation? I will explain it to you in the most simplest context, right? There is a very fine line in between stillness and mindfulness, right? Only a fine line, only a subtle difference, but I will try to explain it to you as most simplest form which you can understand. Now look at your mind for a moment. Look at your mind for a moment, for a second, and observe the nature of it. Now, we have 9 people here at this forum. I believe 9 of us will have different status of minds, right? All of us are not in love at this moment. All of us are not in compassion at this moment. All of us may not be in some other emotion. Each of us are in a separate mind form at this moment. One of you will have a very calm mind. One of you might have at this moment a very unsettled mind. It differs from myself to yours, right? Let's say your mind is in a certain status, certain condition at the moment, and you believe that there will be a blissful status than this current status. You believe from inside that there is a blissful status of mind which is more blissful than the current position of my mind. And then you do an exercise in order to achieve that bliss in the mind. Basically, you're trying to change the status quo of your mind, right? If you are trying to change the status quo of your mind in order to achieve liberation or bliss or calmness or the happiness that you are searching for, that sort of exercise is called as stillness meditation. You are trying to make your mind still, right? Now, you may not agree with me, but if you are trying to be in the present moment, that is also a type of stillness meditation. Because you are not in the present moment, you try to be in the present moment. Do you understand? You are not in the present moment. That is not the status quo of your mind at the time. You are trying to change the status quo to the present moment. You try to be in the present moment. still you're doing stillness meditation. Okay, that is the first part. So what is mindfulness meditation? In mindfulness meditation, you're not going to change the status quo of the mind. Whatever the status, whatever the condition of your mind at the moment, you study it, you observe it, and you try to become blissful with that. You try to accept it rather trying to reject it. This is different. That is mindfulness. Now let's say your mind is calm at the moment. You don't reject it, you accept it as it is. Let's say your mind is in a rat race, unsettled at this moment. You don't reject it, you accept it. Let's say you are in lust. Let's say you are in envy. Let's say you are in anger at this moment. You don't reject it, you accept it. All the emotions, it doesn't matter which emotion that you are in right now or in which emotion that you will be in the next moment, whatever you are in, you accept it. That is mindfulness. You're not going to change anything about yourself, right? So in order to do that, what you do, rather than trying to elevate your mind or change the nature, change the status quo of your mind, you observe the nature of the current mind. You observe your current nature of the mind. You observe it from different angles. What with the current emotion, what happens to my body, what's happened to the talk in the mind, what happens to everything inside me. Once you get to know that knowledge experientially, you experience it and you gather the knowledge, then you develop the wisdom, right? Let's say, as an example, one of you are in anger at this time. I'm not telling you to chase it out or stop it. I'm asking you to observe it. Observe your anger. What happens to your body with the emotion of anger? What happens to the talk in the mind with the emotion of anger? You study everything. You study everything. Once you know everything regarding the emotion of anger, you can call yourself you are enlightened about anger. Do you understand? You are enlightened about anger, right? That is mindfulness. Because what happens if you try to elevate your mind, if you try to reject the emotions of your mind and try to achieve a different status of your mind, that status quo of your mind is artificial. That is not natural you. You're trying to be unnatural. Do you realize? If you try to calm your mind forcefully, if you try to be in the present moment forcefully, that means you're trying to be artificial. When you are in an artificial life, that means your true nature is different from the nature that you are trying to achieve. Your true nature is different from the nature that you are trying to achieve. So in the mind, there is a split of your real nature and of the nature that you are trying to achieve, the nature that you are expecting. There is a huge gap between that, the true nature and the anticipated nature. When there is a gap between two energies, there is something called what? A voltage will be created. That voltage which you create in your mind because of your own anticipations and expectations will create all the stress, trauma, and everything which you are undergoing right now. But when you try to realize your nature and be happy with your nature, then your nature and what you are expected, everything is one and the same. Right? Then there is no journey for you. There is no difference there is no split in your mind. Then there is no voltage. There is no energy difference created. That means you have become yourself. Do you realize? That is how you understand who am I. Right? You might have heard of this term, who am I? It is not who I should be. It is who am I, not who I should be. Do you realize? So my task here, my role here as an instructor is to assist you to understand your current nature deeply. My job is not to tell you to become like me. No. Do you understand? That is not spirituality. Spirituality does not mean you have to become someone. No, that is wrong. Spirituality means you become yourself. Right? Once you understand all the emotions of your mind, let's say that you won't be in anger all the time. Your anger will pass and then you will come up with another emotion. So at that time, if you are mindful about that emotion, you get to know all the natures of that. So gradually in your life, with your work, you will realize all the emotions of yourself. Then there won't be a conflict of emotions. Right? Because emotions are totally natural. If you cry, that is natural. Now, if you lose a loved one and if you feel sad, that is not unnatural. That is natural. Feeling sad is natural. Feeling anger is natural. Right? Feeling love is natural. Why do I say it is natural? Because we had no choice of selecting what sort of emotions we should have in the mind. It comes as a full package. Right? Now let's say when you buy a brand new phone, the earpods and everything and the other Apple apps and everything comes as a package. So similarly, when we came into existence, our mind came with a package of emotions. It is common to everyone. Each of us will have anger. Every one of us have anger. You have anger, I also have anger. You have lust, I also have lust. You have kindness, I also have kindness. All of us have these emotions as a package. So as long as you try to resist a set of emotions out of your life will be miserable. It is something like, now you know that you see the sunrise from east, right? Now next day morning, you are scolding at the eastern sky and you are trying to stop the sunrise. Can you do that? Can you do that? Let's say you're in a seashore. You see the sea waves coming towards you. You just keep your hands, bare hands like this, and trying to stop the sea waves. Can you do that? No, we can't. Why? All those things are natural phenomena. Sea waves, occurrence of sea waves is a natural phenomenon. Sunrise from the east, sun setting from the west, it's a natural phenomenon. Growth of a seed, it's a natural phenomenon. Right? We cannot stop natural phenomena because it is natural. That is the nature. So similarly, our mind also have waves. It is also like the sea. Sometimes we get a wave of anger. The next wave will be a wave of kindness. The next wave will be love. The next wave will be lust. The next wave will be envy. It's a natural flow. It's a natural flow. Your mind is totally a natural flow. So you can't use your bare hands to stop that natural flow. What you can do is to realize it, that it's a natural phenomenon. So mindfulness helps you to realize that you're natural, you're not artificial. And your ego is the only thing which wants to become artificial, which you identify yourself from this nature as a separate existence. Mindfulness will help you to realize that your effort of trying to be separate from the nature. Do you realize? Do you understand? Okay. So I think you have a basic knowledge about what we are trying to do here. So it is not that I want you to change any of you, none of you. I don't want to see you changed. Isabel should be Isabel. Anna should be Anna. Jessica should be Jessica. Nothing to be changed. Only that you have to read the user manual, get to know about the mechanism of the mind, so then the next day you can use it wisely. The mind will not do any damage to you. Because if you are not aware of the mind can create many tricks, and make you frightened. Do you understand? Right. So with that, I think I would like to open this forum for your questions. If you have questions, you can ask from me, because now keep in mind, I haven't taught you any technique of how to do that. So you can question me on the technique. So Sankar, do you have any questions as a starter?
Uh, yeah, actually, I would like to give this opportunity to other guys because they are beneficiating this from this forum, and I would like to invite Jessica because she's having a lot of questions. I know.
Okay,
So
Jessica, it's up to
yeah.
you.
Thank you, Sanka. Yeah, I have quite a few questions. One is to stay in the present, to not be in the mind in the past or in the future, and constantly wander off to not be here and now. That's something that I struggle with a lot. I'm usually a lot in the future and planning and thinking about things I have to do and miss the present now. That's, I mean, I understand everything you say, and it's really, really interesting and natural, but it's hard to practice it, and the daily life just wanders on, and it's a lot of things to do, and yeah. So how do you practice this in daily life?
Yes, your question is clear, and you said it's hard to practice. Obviously, it is hard to practice if you try to your future dwelling mind to get back to the present moment. Yes, it is hard. Why? It is not natural. It is not natural. That is why it is hard. Have you seen eagles? Have you seen that the eagles do show a different flight style called soaring? They just expand their wings and simply they just circle themselves like this. They go in a circular motion. They don't flap their wings much as pigeons or swans. How do they do that? Eagles know a technique. No, in this atmosphere, we have these wind circles, air circles, which will create typhoons if it gets more rapid, right? But naturally, there are, how do you call that in science? I can't remember. The circling winds.
Yeah, it's like the conventional waves or the
Conventional
kind
waves, yes.
yeah.
So what does this eagle do is that it just flap a little bit and try to quote this whatever the current and let itself just soar using the energy of the current. Then there is no energy wasted. The eagle will not get exhausted. Why? It is itself in the notion of in the motion of the natural rhythm. But now you're saying your mind is always in the future and you're trying to get into the present moment, and which is hard. Obviously, you're not doing anything which is natural. That is why it is hard. Here you have to realize is you don't have to drag your mind from the future to the present. You have to realize the aspect, the chemistry of mind being in the future. What is the cause of it? What is the reason of it? There is a reason for your mind to dwell in the future. Otherwise, your mind will never go to the future unless there is a reason. Now, you said that. You said the reason. You said you have to plan. You have to create plans. Therefore, you have to think of the future. Obviously, we can't create plans if we are not thinking about the future. Now, let's say I have a magic power. I can take off your future dwelling thoughts out of yourself. Maybe I will struck a blow to your back of your head. Okay. And there are ways that keep yourself in the present moment, just pinching a needle to your brain, right? I will do some thing like that, and I will make yourself always in the present moment. Would you ever be able to plan future? You can't.
No.
Right? So you are asking me to make yourself a mentally retarded person. Right? If you cannot dwell in the future, Jessica, you are mentally retarded. Right? So understand the importance of dwelling in the future. Dwelling in the future helps us to plan better, plan wisely, plan A, plan B, plan C. If we cannot dwell in the future, none of those things cannot be accomplished. Right? Now that people have this fear, exam fears. Children have exam fears, right? Now you guys may have presentation fears. If you have to present something in front of the board, you're frightened the day before, right? Why does that fear there? Do you think it is unnecessary? No, it is important. If that fear is not there, you will not prepare yourself for tomorrow. You will not do a good job in your life. If your children are not afraid of exams day prior, at least, they won't do their exams well. Let's say a mother is not afraid of the hygiene and the growth and the care of their children. She will be not a good mother. Right? Let's say a person who is doing adventure sports is not frightened. If he does not have the emotion of fear, he will not wear seat belts, he will not wear the safety harness, he will not wear a safety helmet, he will cause injury to his body. So the emotions that you have, fear, anger, and going to the future, all those things are important to yourself. You try to understand that importance. So the next time when you're in the future, I give you an exercise. Look at yourself, understand the importance of it. Look at yourself, what happens to your body when you're dwelling in the future. You start from the top of your head. Go through like a scanning machine through all the muscles. What happens to your eyebrows? When you're thinking about the future, what happens to your eyebrows? What happens to your eyelids? What happens to your cheeks? Start from top, go until to the toes. What happens to the body when you're dwelling in the future? Let's say you are in the past. What happens to your body when you are dwelling in the past? That is how you start mindfulness. That is the practice. Right? With every emotion, with every status of mind, you start with the body. What happens to the body? Then you can go to the next step. What happens to the thoughts? What sort of thoughts? What sort of talks inside? Now when you are in love, the talks are different from when you are in anger. Right? When you're in love, you have all these lovey-dovey talks inside. When you're in anger, you have all these angry talks inside. Understand the difference. You observe yourself, what happens to your body and what happens to your thoughts. Then you will realize a different aspect of your mind. That is how you read the user manual. You will get to know how to use the option of being in the future in better form. The option of being in a future is a special option given, which has come with your package. It has a necessity. It has some value. Use it. Even anger has a value. Use it for wisely. Do you understand? So don't try to be in the present moment. Try to understand the importance of being in the future.
Yes. Thank you.
Did I answer your question, Jessica?
Yes, I understand.
Is that all you have? I thought you have.
No, I have more, but I think Arun Kumar wants to ask something. Or
should we give another chance to somebody?
I mean, it's actually related to Jessica's answer here. I have a couple of questions here. So you were talking about fear for let's consider it's about presentation that I'm going to give tomorrow or something like that. So you said like, okay, why can't this fear be replaced with something called as a responsibility? Because I think fear is also something artificial here. And why do you get a fear? Because in my case, why I get a fear, because I'm not confident about thing what I'm doing here, which I'm not uncomfortable doing it. Fear is something what I see is like very something which I'm uncertain about. Yeah. So why I'm uncertain about this thing? Because I'm not confident about this, what is going to happen or something like that. So what I was thinking is like, so responsibility, taking responsibility to wear a seat belt. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to have a fear like what's going to happen. Like maybe having responsibility is like something which could be answered. So what is responsibility, or like being responsible about a situation here, so which you are comfortable of? So that's also called as being presentful in the situation or something like that. And that's completely, this is one the topic I want to talk about here. I want to also ask about forgiveness and living in the past. That's also a question for me. So Jessica was talking about future, and now talking about the past here.
Okay.
So what is your answer about past and forgiveness and things like that here?
Yes. Thanks, Arun. You have two questions for me. The first one, why can't we not have fear and just have responsibility in our life, right? I will say like this. Yes, the first signal which comes as a responsibility, right? Have you seen traffic lights? Traffic lights gives different orders, when the green light is there, we can go. When the yellow light is there, we have to get ready to stop, and the red light, obviously we have to stop, right? So responsibility is like the yellow light. It gives you, okay, you have to be responsible, you have to be more prepared, you have to take care of things, right? That is the first signal which gives. But if you ignore the signal of responsibility, the signal of fear will come, the red light. But still, it's a signal, Arun. Still, it's a signal. Fear does not always come. If you answer to the first signal of responsibility properly, it will not develop into the signal of fear, right? But still, I say the red light is also important, because let's say now you say the responsibility should be there, so the yellow light is there, but you don't stop your car and the red light is not working. What will happen? You need the red light, Arun. Sometimes you need it. If you are not responding correctly to the first signal, then the second one is important, right? The mind can goes to more extremes. You know that there is a biological thing. If you are not if you are aware of biology, now people think that let's say we caught up in fire, we have caught up in fire, and we are going to die because of the fire. People think that until everything in every cell in our body burns out, we feel the pain. No, it doesn't happen. The mind has a mechanism of shutting down. It has a mechanism of shutting down. So the pain will develop up to a certain level. There is a maximum threshold. After that, the mind shuts down. You don't feel the pain. You die in coma, right? So similarly, there are different levels of signals in the mind. Likewise, the responsibility is the first signal. There may be some before that, even responsibility, a duty or whatever. All those things are also lies before that. The fear is the last signal, more or less the last signal. That is also important. But I'm telling you, don't reject it. If you can answer the issue at the signal of responsibility, yes, you're good. But if you
So
ignore it,
now I would like to link something with your answer. So when fear comes here, there is something is very interlinked parameter called as stress. Okay. So this is something very worst. So when I fear about something, I get anxiety, I get stressful, and I'm not living in the present moment at all, I behave in a way, I diverge in a way, some way. So can you just like answer how this could be handled with fear?
I will explain it to you like this. Actually, stress is not caused by fear. Stress is caused by if you are afraid of fear. If you recognize fear as a bad thing, then the stress will be caused. If you just recognize fear as an emotion which helps us, which assists ourselves, then it will not cause stress. Do you understand? Now, even now, as Jessica asked, her mind is dwelling in the future. If she consider it as a problem rather than a blessing, that can cause what? Anxiety in her. Anxiety is the fear of future, fear on future events, right? Depression comes with the fear, the what you call the pressure that you have with the past events, right? Obviously, there is a fear involved when you think about the future. That is not the problem. But if you are afraid of that signal of fear, then it becomes to anxiety. So similarly, I am saying fear is not causing stress. If you do not take that signal as a signal and as a blessing, as a teaching, then if you are afraid of fear, then the stress will come. Right? As I told you, all these emotions are natural. Natural things cannot make us what? Cannot make us bad people. Right? Now, even in certain now even in Buddhism, not in Buddhism, the Buddhist culture, and even in certain Hindu practices also, celibacy is practiced. Celibacy is practiced. We resist from having sex, having intercourse, right? And there is a notion which is misunderstood, that having sex makes people impurified, makes impure, right? But if having sex makes a person impure, when did we have our sex organs? From our birth. So we have been impure from our birth. That cannot happen. The nature will not make us impure. So similarly, fear, emotion of fear was there from our inception, from our childhood. As infants also we had that. That emotion was there. It's a natural thing which cannot make us impure. But if we do not understand it, because we have not read the user manual, we don't know the option button of fear, when to use, when to stop, we don't know. Since we have not read the user manual, we are afraid of that switch now. We are afraid of that option. That is why stress is caused up. Not because fear is there, you are afraid of fear. That is the stress which is created. Do you realize? Everything can be stopped if you understand, observe what is happening there. Why this fear is there? Why this fear is there? It is for our own safety. When you realize that, you can use that emotion for your betterment, for your advancement. And the second part, the past, what you have to do with the past. Now you said you have how to forgive to the past. There's nothing to forgive about the past, Arun, because past is a collection of thoughts. Now you think about the incident that you have to forgive. You're thinking, right? You're recollecting certain memories, right? Is there anything more than a collection of memories there? What to forgive there? You just have to realize it's just a collection of thoughts. What happens is, you don't have the realization that this is just a collection of thoughts. You give power, you give life to it, and you recreate the incident in your mind. It's kind of
thoughts becomes to action at some point.
Yes. Yes, that is because you have not realized it as just a thought. I will give you an exercise for this. This exercise will help all of you. Right? This is a daily exercise which I prescribe for everyone. There is a time that you wake up. Let's say you're waking up 7 o'clock in the morning. So I ask people to wake at least 1 hour early. For that, sleep 1 hour early. Right? So you wake up 1 hour early, just have a quick brush, clean yourself, wash your face in 5 minutes, and do cardio exercises or whatever, yoga or whatever, a set of exercises for 30 minutes. To warm up your body, you have to sweat, right? First 30 minutes, you do some push-ups or whatever, cardio exercises, yoga, whatever it is. Warm up your body until you sweat. With the warm-up, you sit somewhere peacefully. Just close your eyes without any stress, lightly. Start observing your mind as a third party. Let your thoughts flow and just make yourself as a third party and observe those thoughts. Now you have exercised for 30 minutes. You do this mental exercise for another 30 minutes. Observation of your thoughts. You're not stopping anything, okay? Let the thoughts naturally come, naturally exist, naturally die. So you will see something like this. Some thoughts will just arise and you will observe it. It will just die then and there. Some thoughts will arise. It will last for some time, a short time, and it will naturally die. Some thoughts will rise. It will exist quite a long than the previous, and it will have a natural death. Let that natural occurrence, existence, and death happen for another 30 minutes and observe it as a third party. Now, how do you do this as a third party? I will give you an example for that. Now, look at an object in front of you. Let's say you have a pen in front of you. Look at that object. Look at that pen without naming it as a pen. Just look at it without naming it as a pen. That is how you observe your thoughts as a third party. You don't name it, you simply observe. You do this for 30 minutes. Now you understand? You wake up 1 hour early, half an hour workout, half an hour mental workout. After that 30 minutes, take a diary, put the date, write down the thoughts which occurred inside your mind for last 30 minutes. List it down. Now let's say you remembered your mother. You write it as I remembered my mother. You remembered your friend. I recalled my friend. You understand? List down the thoughts. Do this exercise every day. At least it is good for your health because you're working out half an hour every day, right? But I will guarantee you that first hour which you dedicate yourself for your mental balance and body balance will help you to line up what you call the defragment your entire 23 hours, rest of the 23 hours. Then Arun, you will not get caught of your past thoughts. When you are caught up with your past thoughts, you will realize these are just a thought. You understand? So that can you see what we can do when you know how our mind works? If we do not know how it works, we will caught up with all these nonsense about the past, about the future, about dreams, about ghosts, whatever it is. But if you get to know what happens there, you can just laugh at it. Give just a smile and just move on with your life.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Jessica, it's your turn.
Actually, you have answered quite a lot of my questions already. So that's wonderful.
So Jessica, I believe that you also will engage in that exercise which I prescribe. It is good for everyone, right?
That was one of my questions because I struggle with my meditation practice. I try to do it every day, and then it doesn't happen, and then I got a bad conscience about that, and a lot of thoughts. But I would really try this.
What you have to be aware is the exercise part, you know how to do that. You just watch a YouTube video and do that. In the mental exercise part, how to be a third party observer. As like you don't name it, you just observe. You know, when you go in front of, when you're in the beach, seashore, you just look at the sea waves, you don't name it, right? Like you just watch. When you are in front of a natural waterfall, you just watch. Similarly, you just watch the waves of your thoughts, as like a person who's sitting by a bench of the river, of a bank of a river, right? You do it for half an hour, and most important thing is writing down. Write down the thoughts which occurred as much as you remember. That's it.
Thank you. I have a completely different question also, or not completely different, but I would like to know your view on how to deal with physical pain. We talk a lot about the emotions and the mind, and I understand that it comes from the mind as well, but yeah, physical pain in the body.
Unfortunately, Buddhist philosophy does not address the physical pain of the body. It has its limits. It has the mind component of it. If you are in physical pain, you should meet a physician.
I have done that.
And if you are encountering over and over again, you have to avoid such situations which cause such physical pains in your life, right? That is the only advice I can give you in relation to that, because Buddhism is not a medicine for everything. It is a medicine for the mind, which can take off the mental component of all the pains. Now let's say one is suffering from cancer. Cancer comes with a heavy physical pain, right? But 80% of that pain is mental, psychological. 20% obviously physical, which a physician has to address. But Buddhism can address the rest of the 80% and take away that pain. But you have to deal with the 20%, taking advice from medical specialists. What I can say to you is, if it is a recurrent event, if it happens over and over again, avoid that situation, because Buddha says, there is one sutra, a discourse of Buddha. In there, he takes a nice example. A forest dwelling monk is walking across a forest and he meets a rogue elephant. Then Buddha questions what you should do. Should you meditate? Should you spread loving kindness? No. Buddha says, avoid him and take a different route. That's the advice. So if there is a rogue elephant in your life, avoid it, take another route. That was Buddha's advice for his followers.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So the rest of the group are so silent. I wonder they don't have any questions. So Sankar, do you have anything?
Yeah, I was just wondering. So actually, it's not directly coupled with the questions that we have addressed now, but I was just thinking how these objects that comes to our mind and how we deal with it. I mean, we have five senses, maybe as you said, it's six senses with the mind. So how they are working in our mind and how we deal with it.
Well, whatever which comes from outside world as a signal, we process all those data using the mind, right? So what I say is, whatever exists in the outside world, we don't see it actually. We don't hear it actually. We don't feel it actually. We hear, we see, we feel the illusion which we create by our mind, right? Now let's say now I'm giving some advices here. Do you think you can hear me? No. What happens here is only my sound waves comes through to your ears. When those sound waves goes through your eardrum, memories, data in your brain will rise. If your brain has such data, it will create a story inside yourself. So you will never listen to me. You will only listen to what your brain creates from my outcome. Now I will show you. Now if I start speaking in Sinhala here, none of you will understand except Sankar. Right. දැන් මම සිංහලෙන් කතා කරන්න ගත්තොත් ඔගොල්ලෝ කවුරුත් මාව තේරුම් ගන්නේ නැහැ. So I spoke in Sinhala. None of you understood. Why? You heard me. Why you couldn't understand? You don't have data here. You don't have the Sinhala database here. So then when I say something in Sinhala, nothing rises. You're blank. So you don't actually hear me. You actually hear yourself. So whatever you takes from your 6 senses, only that you create your own self. That is what the illusion, the matrix means. We are stuck in a matrix which is created by our mind. But if you are mindful, if you read the mind and if you observe this mind and go through that exercise which I gave you to do in the morning, not for a shorter period, for some substantial period, you will get a chance to escape yourself from this matrix. Then you will be free from the illusion of mind. But that is the ultimate goal of a Buddhist. Let's keep that aside. First thing is to achieve a balanced mind. For that also, realization of the mind to a certain extent is important.
Andre?
Yeah, Arun, do you have any questions?
This is a very important question that I didn't get answer in any kinds of practices, at least locally myself, I would tell. It's just about, it's not about Buddhism, maybe my practice or my mental state or the situation where I am didn't allow me to understand our practices properly. I'm talking about focus. So it's again coming to the concept of living in the present. So when I do some meditation or when I try to focus on, maybe this is natural in humans or something like that. It's like a lot of turbulences. So a lot of thoughts, like if I'm, for example, to be honest, when I'm talking to you or something like that, I have some other thoughts, 10 thoughts are going in my mind at the same time or something like that. I don't know, this is because of some other stress or worries or things like that. How to, because this is something where I can improvise my productivity myself and live with the present and be happy here. Is that some other practice in Buddhism? I didn't explore Buddhism. This is the first time. So there are some other practice in Buddhism to get this one. Yeah.
The practice I told you will help you to overcome that. I will tell you how. Now, when you observe your mind, I told you, you will see 3 natures, right? First, a thought will arise and you are aware, you're looking at it as a third party, you are aware of it. Sometimes it will come and it will die then and there. Sometimes it will come, it will last for a shorter period and then it will have a natural death. Sometimes it will come, it will exist for a longer period and it will have a natural death, right? When you are mindful, when the level of mindfulness increases, right, there is a nature of the mind. A thought comes, a thought cannot create a stream of thoughts, a story inside, if we are observing it. If your observation is sharp, if your mindfulness is sharp, when a thought comes, it will not have a longer existence. Right? The time of that talkative mind will be shortened. So you will see when you do this practice for some few months, maybe 2-3 months, You will get a thought, but it will not create a story as before, because the mindfulness will help you to observe it, be aware of it, that the thought stream will stop, right? The time that you dwell in a dream world will be shortened, then the number of thoughts will occur, the frequency of thoughts will be decreased, then you will achieve the calmness that you're trying to achieve, right?
So it comes by practice.
Yes,
Basically.
it comes by practice. And also, when you're being more mindful, too much, if you go into this practice into depth, the level of frequency of thoughts will be very less. It will go to zero. And also it will go back to minus. Then you will start to experience the experiences of samadhi. I think you're aware of these things. Samadhi, dhyana. It can take you up to those levels also, where it starts from there, where you have to do it tomorrow morning. That is the starting point. The end is there, right? It will help you to reduce the number of thoughts, the frequency of thoughts, which you are expecting right now, as you are expecting right now.
I also have one small question. Is it maybe I'm not allowing anybody to ask questions or something here, or you guys are fine?
It doesn't matter, Arun.
So
I can give them time afterward.
Okay, so it's just about I practice Hinduism. I'm very religious about Hinduism. Here it comes to a talk like you are what you eat. So it's like, I mean, I'm a non-vegetarian here, but still, how this would in Buddhism, do you have like something this would affect mentally, like you are what you eat? This is my question here.
Can you remember where I started this discussion? The very first few sentences I told you that we focus much about the body, about the food that we take, about the medicine, about the exercises. Similarly, mind also have three of such needs. Mind also needs food. Mind also needs exercises. Mind also needs what? Medicine. That is what mind eats. Mind eats signals from outside world through the six senses, through your eyes, ears, nose, your tongue, and the body, and the mind itself. Those are the six doors which you eat, which your mind eat. Your mind eat those signals from outside, right? If you give your mind anger all the time, right? If you watch too much of movies in relation to these fights and all those things, right? If you engage in an environment, dwell in an environment where the fights and all sort of such wars and thing are the essential nature of it, your mind will eat that, and you will become that. But if you live in a compassionate world, in a compassionate environment, your mind will eat that and you will become that. So obviously that part is also there. But in the difference here from Hinduism is, in Buddhists, we don't concentrate about the body, what the body eats. We are focused on what the mind eats. Do you understand? So you're right, that Hindu concept is right. You become what you eat, from both mind and from both body.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I think, Sankar, if we do not have any more questions, shall we wind up?
If you have any questions, we can ask Isabella or Nishan, Andre.
Yes, Andre.
I was just thinking that I like that exercise for the morning, and also at night. It's one occasion in which you might also have so many thoughts that might disturb what you're when you're trying to get trying to get sleep. and if there is any exercise also for the night.
You can't sleep. Is that the problem?
Yeah, sometimes it's always been difficult to get to sleep. Some people can do it very quickly, and I think that must be very nice.
I have the answer for that. It's a very simple exercise that you have to do. Now there is a trick in this mind. There's a nature. Once you are mindful, you will understand all these things. I will give you a tip right now. Let's say you are struggling to sleep in one night, right? If you want to fall asleep quickly in such an event, what you have to do is simply one thing. For the moment, give up the expectation to sleep. Give up the expectation to sleep. Because if you struggle too much with, okay, I want to sleep, you will never sleep. Right? So if you are struggling with sleep, the best way you can overcome that is give up the expectation to sleep. I will assure you, in the next moment, you will fall asleep. Because the expectation is the reason which drives our mind forward. When the thoughts are there, it will not allow us to sleep peacefully. That is the problem. That is why I told you, just be an observer. Don't try to hinder any thought of your mind, because there is a nature of the mind. When you try to stop something in the mind, it will amplify. Let's say you are getting angry thoughts. If you try to stop it, it will be amplified. Mind is something that you have to deal very carefully. You have to be a friend of your mind, not a foe. If you try to become a foe, it will wage war against you. So if your mind is not letting you to sleep, don't try to be an enemy of it. It will wage a war against you. Be a friend of it. Give up the expectation to sleep. You have not realized, because now you have not given much care to your mind. You have given care to your body. I can look at your face and see that you can give much care to your face and everything. But you have not given much care to your mind, Andre. So your mind has become a foe of yours because you have neglected it. It was the friend which was with you from your birth and which will be there until your death. None of your friends will be with you like that. That is the only friend which will be with you from the start to the end. But you have neglected it. You have not observed it. Now it has become a foe of yours. So obviously, it is justified that it creates problems in you. You have an enemy with you. Try to be a friend of your mind. With your mind.
Thank you. Yes.
You're welcome. So I believe that this might help you a lot, and I would like to invite you, if by any chance, if you get a chance, to travel, come to Sri Lanka, right? Because there you find the beautiful nature. Not only that, this beautiful philosophy, which you can practice it peacefully. So therefore, I welcome all of you to Sri Lanka. If by any chance, if you're visiting, give me a call. We can have a good discussion regarding this. So shall we wind up, Sanka, I think?
Jessica, are you okay, or do you have any
I'm
questions?
perfectly okay.
And
Yeah.
I think this is enough for the day, because too much about the brain, too much about the mind is too
Yeah.
much. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I will believe that you will continue the practice, because if we, by any chance, if we meet again, that will give you much of experiential knowledge about the mind. So you will be wise more than this in our next meetup.
Exactly. So actually, yeah, we are. Thank you and appreciate very much for this help for all of us. And I would like to invite Jessica for some words. So on behalf of Swedish people, actually.
Yes, a big thank you. It's been very valuable and a lot of good thinking and thoughts and things to bring back. So it's been great. So appreciate. I appreciate a lot.
Okay then.
Thank you very much. Then thank you very much,
to
Thero.
everyone. Thank you very much for participation. So I bless you all. May the triple gem bless you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.